BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. Baseball season is in full swing, and we're into the home stretch for NBA and NHL playoffs. And there's more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news and scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. With the largest selection of odds on everything from the MLB, NHL, and UFC. And in between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino. All the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino action. So BetOnline, the game starts here. Let's get into AEW. Okay, because we're like, so this was interesting. So it was Fyter Fest. It was billed as a 4-hour show. It was simulcast live on TBS and Max, but for some reason on Max, the first 2 hours is Dynamite, and the second 2 hours is Collision. But and Harry, I don't know when you saw my tweet, okay? Because I went and watched the show. I went and watched. So on Max, Dynamite, you can click on June 4th, thing, right? But for Collision, all they had was the upcoming shows. Like it didn't say June 4th, and I couldn't find it. And this is like 1 o'clock, 12:30, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time. I was looked because I just watched it. Like I watched at work. I watched Dynamite the first 2 hours at like 11:30, 12 o'clock.
Right.
So I was done about 1-ish. Okay. Then I was looking for the Collision to try to get the second 2 hours, and it wasn't up. And I was like, when did it pop up?
So last night I started watching the show, and
live.
not live, after it aired. So I was maybe like 9 o'clock, and I only saw like a 2-hour block with the Dynamite one.
Right, right. That's because it was blocked off. It ended like on Max. It ended. Yes.
I put 2 and 2 together. I was like, okay, the first 2 hours are Dynamite, the next 2 hours are Collision, because even during the promo, Shivani and Ospreay brought up, I'll face you in Collision to Leo Rush. And I was like, oh, well, that's the next 2 hours. I looked for it on the app, on my Fire Stick. I couldn't find it.
Right, I couldn't either.
But this morning, when I woke up and I watched more of the show, is when the show... So I saw your tweet. I went back and I was like, okay, now it's available.
Yeah, in the morning. So it was weird. Dynamite was up in Collision 1. They were both aired. They were already aired. I don't know what the issue was there, but maybe I don't know.
So maybe even the Max people weren't aware that it's like, these 2 hours, they got to be uploaded now for fans to watch if they want to watch it right now.
I don't know. Those are basic production gaffes that you got to make it, bro. Come on, you got to make it accessible for your people who are literally looking for the show, and the show's where's the show? It's like you got the streaming, you got it live. It's like whatever. I don't know. So
there's no data for Collision yet, but Dynamite just dropped, not the quarters, but the overall. Do you want to hear it?
What was the what was the number?
655.
Yeah, about the same. They're in the mid 600 range.
Yeah.
If they could,
for the first 2 hours, right?
Yeah, they can literally they could get a 700,000 audience, absolutely. If they put Moxley in a title match against somebody credible, and just had better matchups with the top guys, because this show was kind of weird because I only watched the first 2 hours. Okay, so I watched Dynamite. That's all we review. I don't review Collision, right? But this was kind of weird. Like as a show, they had these segments that were looking kind of really good, like good verbiage. Then all of a sudden, like some jabroni characters would come out, and like it's like, but I don't want to see it. So it's like kind of weird how they. I don't know. I think Tony is trying to be a booker in a sense that he thinks he can elevate his mid card guys by putting them in there against, kind of like they're top guys.
Yep.
But I just always get the feeling. I don't know if you feel the same way, Harry. It just feels like I don't want to see these top guys wrestling against these guys right now. I'd rather see them against each other. And I think they keep going that route. It's like whatever. So let's go over the show. So this starts off. I thought this was the best Ospreay promo he's cut so far. Okay, because he was talking about him. He's out there with Shivani. And he said that they basically Paige and Swerve need to be together for one night because they need to take down the Death Riders. And he spoke about how John Moxley says that he hates he doesn't recognize AEW right now. And like, because AEW sucks right now. But Ospreay had a good line. He goes, the only reason AEW sucks right now is because you're the one that's holding the belt. You suck. So that was like, this was a good promo for Ospreay because like they always try to like have everybody be friendly and this is too friendly. He cut some good ones here. So he was trying to basically say Ospreay, Swerve and Hangman should get back together. They showed the clip from last Collision where him and Swerve had words with each other and got a shoving match. And so he basically had said, okay, Swerve, okay, well, we can go at it again. So we're going to wrestle again this Saturday or whatever. When did they announce that match? He's going to wrestle Swerve, right?
Next week.
Okay.
Another 4-hour block, by the way.
Right. So then some music played. I thought it sounded like at first Don Callis's music. That kind of thing that's like, oh, Callis is coming out. But Leo Rush and Andretti come out.
The crew.
I was like, all right, the crew. Leo Rush has some things to say, and he said he had penned a banger and a point to prove and call Will Ospreay the biggest problem with AEW. Will responded and said they could have a match on Collision because he had his fake tan on his crime fighting pants upstairs. He then said he would see Swerve next week. So I guess they're going to have a match later on Collision, the second hour Fighter Fest with Ospreay against who's going to wrestle, Andretti or Rush?
Rush.
Okay, he's going to wrestle Rush.
It was a pretty good match.
Okay, I don't know why these guys came out. I guess they needed a match later, but and this is another thing too with Ospreay. Don't wear your same gear, your merch 2 weeks back to back, because it looked like a Collision. He had the exact clothes he was in the ring on this week, and it looked like he doesn't have any I don't know. It's just his gear, his merch does not fit the character that he needs to be portrayed. Somebody keeps wearing it out there. They're like, all right, well, what do you think, Harry? You're kind of like
Disco. I ended up staying at the same hotel as all the talent that AEW did in El Paso.
Right.
I saw Will Ospreay at the lobby the day of the show. He was wearing the same thing he wore at the show. I mean, that for me was I love Ospreay, but man, it's like even the gear that he uses, the robe, everything going into the ring looks awesome. You can wear something different. I mean,
it's
get
like
a cool pair of pants.
You're wearing your clothes you wear during the day, or it's like going on TV like that. It doesn't scream larger.
Bro, you work where you work. We're in Vegas, or even look at MVP when he walked out to the ring. He's wearing sneakers Jordans that look awesome. He could do that. Even the Young Bucks, when they were wearing all those awesome sneakers, they look great. I'm like, even if you put a cool pair of jeans and some badass sneakers, that's going to make your jersey look better. And it's going to make you look different week to week. I've seen Ospreay now 3 times over the last week and a half, and he's looked exactly the same.
Well, let's call a spade a spade. The Young Bucks like to dress whatever. They're outlandish, whatever they wear. But Ospreay, Swerve, not Ospreay, Moxley, and Kenny are all kind of like they're just underwhelming. Like whatever we wear, but like you go and you got characters like MJF and the Hurt Syndicate out there, and they're dressed to the nines. It's even like you Swerve, guys don't look like the stars they do. It's right. And Swerve too. But even Swerve kind of dressed underwhelming a little bit the past couple weeks. I'm like, I don't know why, and Hangman's he wears cowboy clothes. They're not like super outlandish, but that's his gimmick. He's got who wears a cowboy shirt? He's like the only people that wear cowboy. You go to the South Point when the rodeo's in town, and you got people walking around dressed like Hangman Page. But
without a doubt,
right? But yeah. So that was
that's his shtick. That's his gimmick. So it goes
right. So I liked Ospreay's promo. He actually cut a.
It was good.
This was good. And he got the people too with some of his lines. Okay, so. That was a small crowd, but that was a very lively crowd. I don't know how they were the last 2 hours, but the first 2 hours they were into everything. But they're good. But that's one thing AEW fans do have is that regardless of how few people show up, they're all very much into the event. So
I love how you bring up like when they were in Vegas, how they went from the MGM Grand First to then T-Mobile Arena. The first year they were at T-Mobile, it was jam packed. It was sold out. The next year, it was like 60%, 70% of that.
Right.
And a lot of people, ended up getting freebies. So they were fans that just was like, oh, let's go watch the show. They weren't really invested in it. Then they went to the Lee's Family Forum in Henderson, which I wasn't here for. Then they went to the theater over at a Virgin Hotel. And that crowd at the Virgin Hotel, it was, yes, way less than at the MGM, but they were all AEW fans. They were all there for the product, and they had a good time. I think this is a way better formula for AEW, where it's not as big as an arena, but you know that you're going to get 3,000 to 4,000 people that love your product, that are going to be invested in the show, that are going to be loud, rowdy, and enjoying themselves.
Well, yeah. I mean, per example, at my club, Sapphire, before we did the renovations, okay, it used to be, Harry, like you see how big the club is, right? Bro, years and years ago, they didn't have the curtains up that split it into half house. Okay, so like during the week, you walk in and there's like, like one quad or two, and it just looks empty because like, you're filling, you have a few amount of people in a large area. When you put the curtains up and it's more it now looks like it looks packed. So it's like, that's what they're doing. They're making it look packed, even though there's not as many fans. But like, if you're not going to draw as many fans, this is actually the way to do it. I wish they would, the only thing sometimes is they're running at these, there's some decent smaller venues these days that are more modern looking. Like a lot of these venues they're running in kind of look like the Hammerstein Ballroom. Like an older, like the Virgin Theater, the theater at the Virgin Hotel. That was kind of like an older, when like new. They should be running more newer, modern looking arenas. I would say would be the only question I would. The only.
Bro, we didn't bring up the El Paso Coliseum, but it's the same thing. It's an older venue. When you looked at backstage, it looked like they were at a barn.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Like, it looked really bad, but I was like, well, that's the building they're in. They can't change the backstage area to look nice for them.
Right. Sometimes in life, if you want to get to the truth, you have to look at the numbers. Unfortunately, 50% of all dogs over 10 years old will die of cancer, and the other 40 to 50% suffer miserably from skin issues or joint problems. And this is widely attributed to your dog's diet. These numbers are what inspired Dr. Dennis Black to create Ruff Greens. With thousands of testimonials and 5-star reviews every month, Ruff Greens is now the #1 all-natural dog supplement in America. They've helped millions of pups, like mine, stay active and be healthy. And your pup could be next. Fetch a free Jumpstart trial bag for your dog today. You just cover shipping. Go to ruffgreens.com. Just use promo code DISCO. That's RUFFGREENS.com. Promo code DISCO. You don't have to change your dog's food to improve your dog's health. Just add a scoop of Ruff Greens. So they go backstage. They cut so in their Anarchy in the Arena match. I didn't see that. What match did Briscoe get choked out to Mox? Was it a tag match or was it the Anarchy in the Arena? What was that?
No, that was last week during Dynamite. It was the first match of the show after the Hangman Ospreay Swerve promo.
Okay, so Briscoe got choked out last week. Okay, and he actually for this match, he cut a pretty decent promo on why they're having the match, because he went home and his kid said, "Did you quit?" And he had to explain to his kid that he quit. And so he cut a pretty good, decent promo here explaining, like, I'm going back in there, I'm doing this for my kid to show everything. But the funny thing is, you knew what was going to happen. So he went out and got choked out again. Let me tell you this. This is what do you call it? A loophole. Okay. Wasn't Briscoe in a faction?
Well,
who was he with?
With Orange Cassidy and, what was the name of it?
Kyle O'Reilly, maybe
the conglomeration.
Okay, dude, he knows he's going out there against Moxley. Moxley's got his crew and everything, bro. For storyline purposes, Briscoe should have brought a couple guys with them to not look dumb. You know what I'm saying? Just going out there by yourself and succumbing to the interference is just, I don't know. But this was a tip. I'm not a fan of Moxley matches. He does the forearm spot multiple times during the match. He stands and lets the guy hit him. His selling's not that great. He doesn't sell for his opponents that well. His opponents sell much better for him than he does for them. So this was a typical Moxley match. Go ahead.
Here's something I don't like. I know he said that he quit. They're just choking them out, and the referee kind of goes like, "Can you go? Can you go? No, ring the bell, ring the bell." They're not tapping out.
Well, let me explain. I was going to get to that. So there was distractions from Yuta, whatever. Briscoe's bleeding. His first match is showing his blood. I don't know, this is typical Moxley, whatever. But bro, Moxley always tries to put over his choke as like a shoot MMA thing and everything. But bro, when he's trying to work it to get into it, okay, they're trying to like work it, but it looks fake the way they're working it, because I watch UFC and I watch guys that are on their back and I watch them trying to fight off the choke, and it's like this is just like Briscoe doesn't know how to defend a rear choke like a shoot fighter and work his way and then finally get it wrapped on him. So it just looks like they're in this really weird thing. This kind of like when you're watching it and he finally gets the choke and he chokes out in like a period of time, I'm like, it's not a big pop. You know, it's not like a match where we're reaching to a culmination and stuff. Everything. The spot to get into it was kind of clever, where he went for the elbow drop off the top, but he landed right into the choke. But then they just kept rolling around and stuff. The crowd's ready to like, they kind of go to getting flat, and so then the referee, like you said, he doesn't like lift his arm to tap. He just said, "That's it, that's enough." You know, so it was kind of weird. I'm not a fan of Moxley's finish. That's what I'm saying. Go ahead.
The worst part is AEW has used this finish with other wrestlers where I feel like if you don't have a 3 count, if you don't have anybody tapping out, it's just a flat finish where it's like, I understand why they want to do it, and they want to make Moxley look like this really dangerous guy that he knows MMA and all that. I'm like, we want to have conclusive finishes where you get the fans know the moment where they got to get up and cheer or boo. Over here, out of nowhere, it's like, wait, that was it?
Yeah.
Plus, the funny thing about Moxley and MMA is that he does these judo competitions, and people are always posting like, "Check it out, Moxley finishes 3rd in this competition." People are like, "Wow, that's cool." It's like, nah, it was a 3-man tournament. I don't know if he's killing it out there.
So the next match is going to be a tag. Well, they had a video of Mystico, but they aired the same video last week. So show him doing all his dives, whatever. Renee made a ring entrance. With the crowd not chanting CEO, that song is kind of lame. Because it doesn't really.
It's
like
perfect
CEO.
for a heel, bro. It's perfect for a heel.
So it's kind of weird because I thought that the song kind of like when they started, she was going to be babyface, so the crowd be chanting CEO, but just it didn't work like that now. But she comes out, and this is actually pretty funny. She asked for a table to come out, so they brought out a table with a meal, and it was a steak that did you see the steak? Best described as extra well done.
Yep.
It looked
like something Joe would ask for.
Right. It looked like a piece of leather, like shoe leather. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like something Joe would have ate him for his last meal, right? Steak extra well done with ketchup. But then
and by the way, but they had announced
no
her
well
that
done, no ketchup. Good Lord.
That she was going to be on commentary, and she was never on commentary.
Right. She just stood there. She was just standing ringside and acting, whatever. So which didn't really add to this angle because she's just standing up there eating. They had a spot where Toni Storm like went down in front of her and she was taunting her. But Julia Hart and Sky Blue, okay, I get Julia Hart. They want to make her a sinister thing, but Sky Blue was kind of an entertaining babyface. Now she's kind of like this dark character too, like Julia Hart.
There's too many of them. Yeah,
nobody's buying that, because they're cute. They look like cute girls. They could be booked as cute girls, but it's like I said, they're doing dark gimmicks. Like,
here you go. They are, and they were booked as baby faces, like Julia Hart with the Varsity Blondes. She was the cheerleader. Sky Blue was the big happy girl, and now it's like, all right, let's tap into something different to see if we can get a different result out of them.
I think there's more value in what they were doing. So,
what do you think, Harry? Since we're talking AEW, what did you think about? It came to fruition. Mariah May is gone, debuted in NXT.
Wish her the best, man.
As an AEW fan, is that like a big loss to you? Do you think?
So when she was in her program with Toni Storm, she was very big. Once she finished, I didn't know what was going to be next. I don't trust AEW to book women's the right way. And I'm happy for her that it's like, hey, her contract was up and she already had an offer right there waiting for him WWE. So wish her the best. I enjoyed her time in AEW. 1 year, she was pretty much just a valet for Toni Storm. And the other year, she was one of the top women's talent. But then, like I said, I don't trust them to book the woman the right way besides Monet and Toni Storm.
Right.
The thing with Mariah May and Toni Storm is I think Mariah May's last match. It's like, dude, Tony just loves doing. It's like these are attractive girls, and their final match was a bloodbath.
Mm.
You know, like she got left lying in a pool of blood with like it's like I don't, I don't know. I would do different things. Well, she's in the WWE right now, so she's not going to be doing any of that. But
Nope.
So the Mina Shirakawa started off this match, I think with Julia Hart or Sky Blue, when she started. Bro, a lot of these girls don't know how to strike. They don't look like they look like they're shoving forearms and stuff like a forearm shove instead of like an actual like punishing strike, and it's like it doesn't look good. So, but everybody does it. Everybody's doing forearms, and literally 50% of the 60 to 70% of the characters on that show don't know how to throw a good, that looks like a good MMA type style strike. Where you're clobbering the guy in the side of the jaw with your forearm. It's just, I don't know. But Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa, the chicken wing to Sky Blue. After the match, they celebrated as Mercedes looked disgusted. And this is funny. Mercedes saying something on the headsets, you couldn't hear what she's saying. So this is
Tony started eating the.
Pull your mic up a little bit. It's going in and out. Just
mine.
Yep. Usually when you move it closer, it's all good.
All right, cool.
Yeah, and Tony started eating the piece of meat that they had out there too. I don't know if you noticed that. That was hilarious.
But basically, all Mercedes Moné did was come out there, just stand out there ringside and eat during the match. It didn't really add anything to their angle. So,
I hope it gets better. I like the promo from the previous week in El Paso. This, I don't feel like it did much, if anything.
Yeah. So backstage, this is a good little thing. And Ospreay had some good creative in the first 2 hours of the show because he had some good stuff here. MJF approached Ospreay and jawed at him about how he had no chance of beating Swerve or Hangman, even less of a chance of getting them on the same page. He called them animals and told them to let them tear each other apart. Ospreay said he's thinking of AEW, and MJF only ever thinks of himself, and MJF had no chance of defeating either Hangman if he wins the title either. Then MJF brought up Ospreay's son Henry, so Ospreay immediately got
Harry.
Little Hank. No, Harry.
Henry says his name is here.
I think
What's his son's name? Are you sure it says Henry? MJ brought up Ospreay's son Henry. So this was actually good because
it's Harry.
Ospreay's getting a little bit busy with MJF, and he's got him pinned up against his thing. So then MVP shows up in the camera shot, and then like outside the camera shot, then the Hurt Syndicate, and they all kind of surround Swerve, and are kind of putting their hands on like, hey, but like they could whoop like at any second, and Ospreay kind of got scared a little bit because he's got these three guys, and this was funny. I don't know if you see the subtle thing. There's the final thing is a face-off between Bobby and Ospreay, and Bobby's picking at Ospreay's little shirt he's wearing, and he looks at himself and like dressed nice and walks off. I thought that was very subtle, but he was basically like making fun of the way he dresses, by picking at his shirt, like look at this, look at this thing you're wearing. He walked off, and Ospreay acted like he's like he got out of one there. So
it was fantastic, bro. I love that segment. I thought it was great. I mean, the way they shot it, everything was fantastic. And now I'm even excited to potentially see Ospreay versus Lashley pretty soon.
Yeah. You know what, though? It's one thing they do on this show. They do a lot of these breadcrumbs that never really go anywhere.
That match, they better deliver it to me. I want it real bad.
But I'm not saying that they constantly do these like little backstage segments, and you're thinking like, oh, that looks good. Alex, you said, perfect example. Remember that really good backstage segment that MJF had with Swerve a while back?
Yeah, I do.
And they never like, I just wonder if like they're doing these things maybe to read the room and feel what people think about it, and then go with it. But sometimes they just do all this stuff and it doesn't. I'm saying the next thing you know, these guys are in a 3-week program with Leo Rush and Action Andretti instead of like, with like Ospreay's with deal with the Hurt Syndicate, next week, you know?
They need quality control.
Bro, the fantastic segment that Hangman and Swerve had backstage like a month ago or a month and a half ago, and now they're battling again.
Right,
After they were both like on the same page, now they're battling.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Side note, Disco, have you seen at all today the stuff between Musk and Trump?
Yep.
Okay, so maybe we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Well, I don't care. I mean,
it's just weird. That's all.
Yeah. The Hurt Syndicate made their entrance, and they chanted for Lashley and Sheldon. Then they booed MJF. Then MVP asked Lashley his opinion of Denver. Now he lives in Texas. He gave big thumbs down. He called Lashley and Benjamin the greatest tag teams in any company. Asked if AEWs were the best wrestlers, then were the tag teams. He said repeatedly there's no one capable of beating them, and then asked people to show respect for MJF, and they booed. Then MJF grabbed the mic and asked for silence while he was speaking. They said he wanted gold just like his friends Bob and Shelton. MJF said he won the AEW World Championship, and he'll have to wrestle a little bit more. He promised he would get over it. MJF brought up Mystic, so now he's got to wrestle Mystico in a couple weeks, and said his country of Mexico thinks he's the best wrestler in the world. That's not true because he's the best, and he hails from the only country that means a damn, the United States of America. MJF said he was the youngest foreigner to ever sell out Arena Mexico and called himself a megastar while promoting Happy Gilmore too. And he called Mystico a big fish in a small stinky pond. If he was impressed with this match next week, he would let Mystico wrestle him at Grand Slam Mexico. So then Kevin Knight, Mike Bailey, and Commander walk out onto the stage, and they gave these guys a considerable amount of mic time here. Commander called out MJF for disrespecting Mystico and Lucha. He called MJF a and said everything that comes out of his mouth is garbage. Mike Bailey said they wanted the best. The people in front of them were international killers. And Knight said they could get it popping tonight in the Mile High City, but MVP shut them down because they haven't earned it. Told them to impress them by earning a title shot, and they left. They walked right by him, kind of bumped shoulders or something, kind of punked him. Yeah. Then the guys that are supposed to wrestle these guys coming up come out, Roosh, the Beast Mortals, and Dralistico. And they showed a video of Top Flight of the attack on Top Flight Collision to set up this match, right? But yeah, we went from Hurt Syndicate promo, where basically they don't have any opponents, into those three guys coming out, and then we segue that into this 6-person tag, which I couldn't.
But at least they explained why the match was taking place, DI.
Yeah, because there's an attack, but the baby faces go over,
and also Disco.
Yeah, because they're getting built up for the Hurt Syndicate.
Right.
Did you see Roosh bump shoulders with Shelton Benjamin and with Bobby Lashley?
Yeah, I did.
That was good too. Now I'm like, okay, I want to see Bobby Lashley against Ospreay. I want to see Bobby Lashley against Roosh. So hopefully that happens in the future.
Right. So post-match, MVP walked out with the rest of them and said the three of them and earned a trios match next week against the three of them. And they'd earned a preview of that right now. So then they hit the ring, and then the baby faces get over them. They all do dub. Bro, there were way too many. Like, this was the third. Well, no, there was two sets. Yeah, just constant dives over the top rope onto the guy standing there catching him. Like, I mean, every segment had something like that. So, but that was the baby faces sold for the heels sold for the baby faces, so whatever. But I don't know. It's like I was intrigued by the Hurt Syndicate and Ospreay backstage. I would rather follow up on that, but instead, Ospreay's wrestling Leo Rush, and these guys are now stuck in a 6-man against some guys. Like they can't. I get Tony likes to have like good matches. So much everything. It's like, dude, you got these stories that are. People are foaming at the mouth for you to get to, and it's like you're taking forever to get there. Just bro, pull the trigger.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So go ahead.
And what are we enjoying the most? Like last week, we loved having Hangman, Swerve, Ospreay in there in the ring, getting a story together. We loved MJF and Ospreay being in the screen together and foaming at the mouth of potentially getting that match. Lashley and Ospreay, a little interaction with them, that's perfect. Build matches like that, not just because like, okay, you won, now you can face us.
What do you think then, Harry? Because they've got 3 big matches set up for this All-In. But, Ospreay doesn't have a match set up yet. Neither does the Hurt Syndicate. You think maybe they'll just go the Lashley-Ospreay direction for that big show?
That would be great in my opinion, but I feel like you have to have the tag team titles on the line in that one.
Oh, okay.
That in my opinion, you got to have everybody, and hopefully they can get 20,000 people in the stadium. You got to have everybody chanting, "We heard people," as they're going in the ring as champions.
There you go.
And MJF versus Mystico, I'm very intrigued. And right there, I honestly have no clue who's going to win because they're in Mexico. They're in Mystico's house. I feel like it would be like convenient for CMLL to get a win against one of AEW's biggest stars. But then you have an AEW show, not a CMLL show in Mexico. One of your top stars has to get that win out there. So at least it's
Harry, non-finish. Actually, not.
Hopefully not. But I'm like, okay, that's a match I'm intrigued by.
Yeah.
Adam Cole cut a lame promo backstage and recruited Daniel Garcia to take down the Don Callis family in an 8-man later on. That's
Terrible.
I still do not get where they think, like where Tony thinks Daniel Garcia should be positioned on the show. It's like he doesn't, like, his promos aren't have any strength to them. It's like why is Adam Cole asking this guy to help him? It's like I don't know. It's like, oh, so Christian in the Patriarchy interview backstage, and Lexi Nair mentioned that Nick Wayne had a great showing in the Battle of the Super Juniors. Christian said he was good, but he didn't win. Mentioned Nick wrestled 14 matches in 22 days. He would defend his Ring of Honor championship tonight. Wayne said Christian had tried this before and it was light work for him. And Christian said it would be a fatal 4-way, though. And Kip was working on an even bigger surprise. So we'll see what happens there. I won't see what happens there because that was going to be on Collision. So
the worst part is, Disco, they didn't even announce who he was going to be wrestling.
Right.
So I'll just spoil it. In Collision, Anna Jay was being attacked by Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford, and then Ty Mello came out.
Right, I saw that.
And Tony Schiavone said, "Oh, and Sammy Guevara is coming up soon too as well. He's going to be wrestling for the ROH TV Championship." I was like, "Against who? What's that match about?" And then I was like, "Oh, it's this kid's match." But it's just like no structure, no why, no nothing. So even as a AEW fan, it's like, what?
So Max Caster comes out to do his shtick, and he got the fans to chant, "Let's go, Max! You're the best wrestler alive! Let's go, Max! You're the best wrestler alive! Let's go, Max! You're the best wrestler alive!" That's so corny.
It's catchy. It's catchy, man.
So his opponent coming out was going to be Powerhouse Hobbs. I don't know why Hobbs came out through the crowd and walked down and came up behind. I don't know. That was kind of weird. But if
you're Moxley, if you're Claudio, if you're one of those that does it, it makes sense. The ops doesn't go out through the stands.
Right. So there was also funny when they showed Max, it says 2025 record 0-11. That's where the cryon works. Where it's funny, it's like, like when they think the cryon is like has won 3 matches in a row. Not 2025 record is 9-3.
Did you see Mark Briscoe's record?
No, what was Mark Briscoe's record?
His AEW record is like 42-32. I'm like, why do you put that on the screen, dude? He's going against your champ.
Right, yeah. Exactly. Okay, so next was the main event for this portion of it was the AEW International Championship match. Omega versus Mascara Dorada. Are all these guys? See, that's the CMLL guy too.
Mascara Dorada is a
so CMLL they put a bunch of CMLL guys on the show because they're good. They're good. The wrestler can't come. I get it, but I'm not. I don't watch CMLL, so this is all. I don't know. Like this. Like if this was obvious. Like if this was Vegas, right? And they had the odds on this for each guy. What would Kenny Omega's odds have been on this match? Like minus what?
100,000. Minus 900. Minus 1,000.
Minus 900,000. It's like
yeah. There's no way he's losing on TV.
Yeah, and it took 17 minutes for him to get there. You knew who's going to win. I don't know, but that's their fans like these matches. I'm not a fan of this. Everybody and their mother on the show is any kicking motion, everybody slapping their thigh. Whether you're kicking the guy in the stomach, kicking the guy in the back, kicking somebody in the thigh, in the knee, in the thigh, and you're slapping her. It's like newsflash, guys. A leather
parts of your body that there's no.
The leather boot to the belly does not make a smacking sound. Okay, it never has, it never will. All right. The only time it does is like when you clock somebody and it sounds like you crack their jaw, and that makes that sound. They sell it like they're knocked out, like Shawn Michaels used to do. But it's like, I don't know. That's the best modern wrestling. Everybody does this, and I'm not. I still can't see how people actually get over that because it's so many people are doing it now. It just sticks out like a sore thumb. It looks silly,
And it's a thing where fans can copy it, and they're walking down the street and they can hit their leg and make it sound like something and fake that they're kicking somebody. And it's like, if a fan can do it that easily, maybe you shouldn't be doing it in the ring.
Right. Wait, I missed I saw the finish. Did Okada and Omega go at it here or go at it later on the show?
No. So here you go. At the end, the match led into Collision.
Right. Oh, because
right. The match ended on Dynamite, And then once the match ended, they did a quick cut. And then we're live at Collision. And Tony Schiavone went and he was on commentary and him and Nigel. And then once the match ended and they were on Collision, then Okada came out.
Oh, that's what happened. Okay. So I didn't see that. So, but that's Omega and Okada. Okada's been there like over a year, and they're finally getting Okada Omega. The way they got there was like, she, Kenny won a match. Now he's, I don't know.
They both have secondary titles that nobody cares of.
Yeah. I don't know.
Hey, finally, Okada Omega 5.
Yeah.
I'm down for that.
I tell you, so the show was, in my opinion, I'm still their top their best stuff on the show. I'm still intrigued with every week. But they're just taking their best stuff is the Hangman, Swerve, Ospreay, the Hurt Syndicate, and MJF. That's it. The Death Rider I could give two shits about.
Same.
Like literally this is weird because Tony's weird about like booking angles, right? Hangman's going to be wrestling Moxley. That is a match that has been set up. It's for the title. It's everything. It's like, dude, what? It's like Moxley didn't need to be wrestling Mark Briscoe on the show. Hangman needed to be on the show because we need to start promoting this match until like I don't know. They did nothing to promote their main event match coming. Go ahead.
So here you go, Disco.
Yeah.
It happened in Collision.
Oh, it did happen in Collision?
Sucks because it was literally like 20 minutes later. But for somebody that only watched Dynamite like you wouldn't know about it.
Right.
And
so what happened?
So Ospreay had his match with Leo Rush. Sorry. He defeated him. Andretti came into the ring. They were attacking Ospreay. Hangman came out to rescue Ospreay. And then once Hangman stayed in the ring by himself, he cut a promo, and Moxley out of nowhere popped up behind him. It was a really good shot where, from not seeing Moxley, you heard the crowd reacting to something, but as a viewer on TV,
they shot it for the TV people. It's a surprise.
So out of nowhere, Moxley is behind Hangman, and it's like, all right, here we go. But then they're almost face to face. Then the Death Riders start popping up ringside. And once the Death Riders start popping up, then Ospreay comes back into the ring to kind of level things up and be like, hey, I got your back. But that was it. So they kind of built into something. So hopefully next week there's more to the storyline, and please have it on the main show.
Harry, you gave good analysis there, but it sounds like you were looking for pieces to put together, right? The casual person that's watching, and they're not paying that close attention. They're not analyzing like that. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know that Ospreay wants to help Hangman, and that Moxley's going to go against Hangman, and that Moxley has his crew, and it's like you literally got to follow the product to be like, okay, completely understanding everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Collision wound up doing 380.
380. Yeah.
I mean, it was late in the East Coast.
Yeah. So this kind of, you know what I think would be interesting, because the way that everything's all over the place here. I would like to see a face-off between the Hurt Syndicate, MJF, and the Death Riders in the ring. And MJF kind of throwing his name, and like he's coming after Moxley and stuff, because that would be, because they're still trying to force feed the Hurt Syndicate his heels. Like they're still sticking to that. Like they're I'm like, dude, like, these guys are baby faces. Like, go ahead.
But I'm liking that even MVP, since last week when MJF joined the faction, or not last week, 2 weeks ago when he joined the faction, that they're trying to make people not cheer for them. He's trying to be anti, like, whatever the city you're in. But they're super popular, dude. People love them.
So you shouldn't fight this, Yeah. They look like $1 million. They stick out like a sore thumb. Them with the belts and MJF with the world title is a more respectable faction than the Death Riders, where Moxley acting all corny with his neck, Marina Shafir still hasn't said 2 words on this. It's like, Wheeler Yuta's still around, like but
what
they don't.
Is that it ain't gonna happen, because they're gonna have the pay-per-view match with Hangman and Moxley. So once Moxley loses the belt, I don't see them going heel versus heel with.
Well, bro, what are you going to do when Moxley wins the belt? When Moxley keeps the belt? Bro. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? So what are you going to do when they stick to the story? Okay, and what's the story with Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland? What's their story with each other? I'm never going to. I am not going to be. You're not going to win that belt while I'm alive.
Yeah, they keep each other.
And I would, dude. If I'm sticking to that, if I'm sticking Swerve screws Hangman, like Hangman, Moxley keeps the belt, and I would just pivot and go right with Moxley and MJF and the Hurt Syndicate and do that thing and put the belt back on MJF.
So that sounds good, right?
Right.
But at the same time, as an AEW fan, if you keep that belt on Moxley, which by the way, we can't even see the belt because it's in a briefcase.
Right.
The fan base is going to turn on them even more.
Well, that's like when they kept the belt on Jarrett in TNA instead of putting Raven over. I would imagine Disco was in the creative meetings that got Raven out of winning the title, probably buried him,
I would never have Raven win the title if I'm on the booking committee. What's funny? What if they've lost the belt? Okay? And like you can't have Moxley lose because then they would have to reveal that the belt's actually gone and they keep pretending that the belt is still in the suitcase. They've lost it, and so we have to keep going until they find the belt. Moxley can lose because then the other guy can get the belt. But like right now, it's like we don't see the belt. It's like I'm thinking like, are we sure they have it? It's like that'd be a funny angle if they didn't actually have the belt, right?
They could go to shopaew.com and buy one for $800.
Right.
But yeah, no, dude, it's like I'm over Moxley. I'm so ready for anybody to take the belt off of him. And I think the perfect story is Swerve here. Right. I mean, sorry, Hangman.
So that's been our AEW review.
Yo, what's up? I just want to thank you guys for watching this clip. Don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And join our YouTube membership for hours and hours of exclusive, unedited, uncensored content. And being a member will help you get involved in our upcoming live streams. Thank you for your support. Thank you for riding with us. I know you got a lot of other podcast choices, be it wrestling or other ones. And thank you for picking us. Boom.